we go. Hello, everyone. It is April 1st, 2021, and this is the weekly Backdrop development meeting. We get together every week, every Thursday, to talk about the future of Backdrop and the status of ongoing development tasks. Let's see, even though we're a bit of a small crew today, we can go ahead and do introductions. I'm Nate Lampton from Oakland, California, core committer, and I don't have anything to bring up today that isn't on the agenda. Gregory?
Yep. Hi, I'm Greg. I'm joining from Greece, usually in Australia.
Together every week, every Thursday.
Oh, sorry.
To talk about the future of Backdrop.
Sorry about that. I was about to post the link to the live stream on YouTube, which I'm doing now. Sorry, yeah. So I'm joining as usual just to see what needs to be done with the product, Backdrop as a product, and just see what others have been working on, help out as when I can. Justin?
I'm Justin Christopherson. I'm in Denver, Colorado, and just help out with infrastructure tasks here and there. Back to you, Nate.
All right. Let's see. Updates from the PMC. Gregory, you're our only resident PMC at the meeting, or in this meeting. I know that there is a in-person PMC, in-person by live meeting happening tomorrow to address a number of things that have been creeping up. I don't know if there's anything really that should be publicly noted, but I guess we'll have a bunch of things to be publicly noted after the meeting occurs. Is that right?
Yeah, so that's the only announcement for now. Just a small bit, again, things to be finalized and links to be added everywhere is that we sort of like finalized the decision of adding a link to the code of contact into the actual product, which has happened. There's a merge request. There's no actual release of Backdrop that includes it in the README as we speak, but the next bug fix release and the next minor release will include it. And we're looking on ways to, on the best way to add a link to the code of conduct on the main side as well.
Yeah, and that code of conduct has been up for a little while now. It's under backdrop-ops/conduct. So it's a separate GitHub repository. And like you say, it's the pull request will make it so that it gets added to the README of the main project as soon as that gets merged.
And we have some tasks and ideas of tweaking and improving it a little bit further. And the reason why it's on a GitHub repo is that we track changes. And then if there's major changes done, not just typos or anything, we plan to communicate those changes to people with announcements so that there's transparency. Yep.
Great. Great. Thank you for that. There's also, it's not quite PMC, it's not a PMC announcement, but is an announcement nonetheless, and that is that the timing of these meetings that happen every week will be changing starting next week. So April 8th, we have shifted to use the same time year-round that things will be at. Hang on, let me double check this. It was also in the newsletter that was sent out earlier this week, which is the design meeting is at 8 p.m. UTC, same as the outreach meeting. They just alternate weeks. And then the developer meeting, that's this one, is at 9 p.m. UTC. And I think what that means is that this meeting for those of us in North America is going to change times next week. And I think that means I'm not even going to say it because I don't know which direction it moves. But do the conversion because UTC does not acknowledge daylight savings time. So it will change during the summer. And the idea is that by using UTC globally, it makes it so that we're not giving preferential treatment to a particular area of the world. Because right now we've been scheduling these meetings always based upon United States time zone handling, which is different than everywhere else's time zone handling. So this will make it so that it's not actually like consistent for everybody. Now it's basically everybody is equally going to be off like disrupted by this because everybody has some kind of daylight savings. It's just they have different daylight savings. So anyway, it's an experiment, and we're going to see how it pans out.
Yeah, it was more people in Australia basically were affected by 1 hour, moving 1 hour forward or back, and then after a week or two, they would move another 1 hour. So yeah, so what we're doing is we are spreading the effects of the daylight savings.
Yeah, so it's a little bit, it's not as extreme. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Also, just speaking of that newsletter that came out is really excellent. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter, you can do that, of course, through the Backdrop homepage, but you can get a link to the latest newsletter from the agenda notes. I posted a link there. It's a really great write-up on what's been happening in the Backdrop world just generally, and also pulling out a couple of nice blog posts that have been written recently. All right, community updates. We don't have any new contributed projects this week. However, there have been updates to contrib projects PhotoSwipe, Instagram feed, PHP Excel, Mosaic Grid, and Chosen modules all had new releases this week. So I definitely see and appreciate the ongoing maintenance that has been going on by our community members. Let's see, Backdrop CMS. We recently released Backdrop 1.18.2, and all of the flagship sites, or all of the sites that are running Backdrop, have all been updated to the latest version. Justin just last night went through and did server updates, just updating all of our software, the underlying software on the Linodes. We had been having some swap issues related to maintaining download usage, and thanks to Justin's wizardry configuring PHP and server adjustments, that seems to have now been mitigated and solved for the time being. Anything else you'd like to bring up about server updates, Justin?
Just there was a related ticket for cleaning off an abandoned or DNS records.
Yeah, that's right. We had at one point ci.backdropcms.org, a server that we decommissioned a while back, but we had a DNS entry that was still pointing at that IP address, and Linode reallocated that IP address to someone else. So then we had our domain pointing at someone else's site, which was not what we wanted. I don't even think it was actually a site, but we noticed that it was pointing at something that wasn't ours, and you cleaned that up too, which we appreciate. Thank you. Okay, that's it for community and website updates. We can move into the product updates. So this week, it's been pretty quiet on my side of things. 1.18.3 is the next bug fix release. We just came out with 1.18.2 the week before, and 1.18.3 items will be aggregated into the next release and merged when ready. Let's see, the issues that we've got here of note that we'd like to get addressed sooner rather than later include throwing a warning if the max input virus variable is not set high enough. It's issue 3824. Jen Lampton has been pushing for this issue for a couple of months. I have a feeling she's going to have a new fire lit regarding this issue because she just got bit by again on one of her Drupal 7 projects, which means that instills a new sense of rage in her to get it fixed within Backdrop. So 3824 has a pull request, still working out some of the final issues with it. PHP 8 support, issue 4772. We have a pull request that Josef has had put up quite a while ago. PHP 8 is now much more widely available on a variety of platforms, and this should make testing a lot more easily accessible. The pull request currently needs review, and it has been that way for a while now. So we're in a little bit of a review bottleneck. And lastly, there's an issue with the active trail, the breadcrumb handling. If you have a translated menu that has links to the same piece of content in different languages, issue 4798. This one actually has a pull request that works. It's just missing test coverage.
Since we're talking about PHP 8 support, I might as well bring up issue 4931. It has to do with MySQL 8. So there seems to be a breaking change that has happened, I think, after 8.019, 8.022, one of the versions, which manifested itself as an issue with transliteration of file names on Backdrop. We didn't see anything else breaking. But the issue now is that, at least for people like myself that are using Lando only offers up to, by default, 8.019, so I cannot test the fix as it is now. I did file an issue with them, but if anyone is comfortable with installing parts versions and testing, yeah, we could use some help going forward with that issue.
Okay. Also, another 118.3 item. In 118.2, we did a couple of accessibility improvements. We made it so that the block interface is navigable with the keyboard, and we added an ARIA announcement API. However, one of our objectives with that was to make the blocks interface fully accessible to non-sighted users. And the follow-up issue that kind of ties together those two pieces is 5021, which makes it so that the drag and drop arrangement then uses the new Backdrop announce API to alert the user that changes have happened on the screen. So we also have that issue, 5021, to kind of tie together those two pieces. Since we did so much work in 118.2 to improve the drag and drop interface of blocks, it would be nice to get that issue completed to kind of tie everything together. So there's no pull request yet for that one, and that it's not a particularly challenging thing to do to make those announcements after the changes have taken place. Okay. Anything else for 118.2? Any other favorite bug fixes or things that should be brought up?
I can't think of anything major right now. I'm trying switching to that milestone and see. There's just small ones like file usage has a bad link, which is issue 4950. There's a lot of, but that's RTBC actually. So there's quite a few issues that are marked either as RTBC or works for me.
Yeah, lots of works for me stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I see Peter has joined us, BW Panda. I won't call on you, but Peter, please just let us know if there's anything in particular you'd like to talk about as we go. 119 is the next minor version of Backdrop. It will be coming out May 15th with feature freeze 1 month from today, May 1st, 2021. We have several features that have already been merged into 119. You can check those out in the 119 milestone under the closed items. At this point, we really only talk about the things that are still in flight. So looks like there are 7 issues that are currently in progress. Actually, 6 issues. One of them has been merged, but just has a change record that needs to be done. So we can go through each one of them. The exposed file name filter, we would like to add a filter to the media library dialog, issue 3293. Lauren is the advocate for this one. We're still stuck kind of where we have been on this one. That we need a developer to take a look at it. Advanced caching support, adding cache tags and a cache max age header, issue 4127. Joseph is the advocate for this one. He has done a pull request. HerbTool has done a code review on said pull request, but we need testing, like user testing on this functionality and checking to see that it works. I haven't even done an architectural review on it yet, so definitely an area in which we need reviewers.
So when it comes to testing, is that to be an equivalent of how D8? So this is how usually when we have comparable features from D8, I try to do the same thing as as it was supposed to work in Drupal. So is that supposed to work the same way? Would that suffice for testing?
Yeah, that's a great point. That perhaps what we really need is we need testing instructions, and that would help get tests. Get testers trying things out. My understanding of what should be happening there primarily has to do with turning on the page cache. Well, actually, the page cache is already on. Opening up an incognito window that's logged out and a logged in window as well, saving content, and then seeing if that content is immediately refreshed in the incognito window. I think that's the baseline testing that we would like to get coverage on. There's more advanced stuff like checking the HTTP headers and seeing that the homepage listing, for example, every node that is shown on the homepage should have a header tag that says node ID 10, node ID 12, node ID 14, and enumerates every node that is on that page as an HTTP header, so that reverse proxy caches could clear or could invalidate their caches based on those headers. But I think the baseline testing of do caches invalidate immediately when content is updated is the number one thing to be investigating. Let's see. Next up is field has value visibility condition for blocks, issue 4728. I don't believe there are any updates on this issue recently. Jen Lampton is the advocate for this one. Although
last comment is from back in December. So yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I saw that there was another issue filed by Jen Lampton that got moved into the 119 milestone, and that is adding the save draft module to core. Jen filed this issue. It's issue 3157, but I looked at it just now. I thought Jen was maybe shifting her advocacy, but I see that BW Panda is the advocate for that issue. So Peter, I didn't put that into the agenda yet, but this is a new development just happening, breaking news. Do you have any update or anything you can say about issue 3157?
Sorry, I missed that. What you're referring to?
Oh, the save draft module in core. I'm just curious about hearing your plans or hopes for that issue.
Yeah, so I was just looking through old issues to see what I could advocate for in that.
I would say it's one of my favorites as well. It improves user experience a lot, especially for people that are new to Backdrop and Drupal.
Yeah, and this issue, if I recall, the save draft module or what this issue entails isn't necessarily what I had thought it was based on the title. Can either Gregory or Peter, can you summarize what it is that this issue actually covers?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so it basically, normally Backdrop just has a save, or I think it's just a save button at the bottom of the node form, and that is there regardless of whether you tick published or draft or scheduled or whatever. The save draft module basically adds, I think it might change the label of the button, but it adds other buttons. So for example, instead of having checkboxes or radio buttons for published or draft or scheduled. You have buttons instead. So when you're creating a node, you can either tick on, like press the publish button at the end of after filling it out, or you can press the save draft button, and that'll determine whether it saves as a draft or publish. And I think that just makes it easier to see what you're doing, makes it more of an action rather than like a checkbox sort of thing. And yeah, so I mean, I haven't looked at it in a while, but that's basically what I remember it doing. And so putting something like that in core is what this idea is about. I haven't actually looked into it yet to start making a pull request, but that's the next step.
Nice. Yeah, so
this started off like there were some baby steps in Drupal land as well, where they exposed the publish checkbox instead of having it hidden between the metadata, the vertical tabs, or whatever it was. It was a checkbox immediately above the save button, which was saying published. But yeah, it didn't make UX-wise didn't make sense. They have a checkbox for, as Peter said, for something that is actually an action. So yeah.
Yeah, got it. So if I recap, what this does is the radio buttons stay as they are, where it's like publish, draft, schedule. But as you change those radio buttons, it changes the label of the save button. So instead of just saying save now all the time, it would reflect the action that you're about to take by clicking that button. Does that sound right?
I think I was under the impression that the radio buttons would be removed and you'd instead have like more buttons added to the bottom of the node form. So you'd have a publish button and a save draft button, stuff like that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The schedule thing is a bit more complicated, so it's not a button for it. But when you select the schedule option, instead of saying save, it says schedule. So it's a combination of both.
Interesting. Okay. Well, looking forward to see how that shapes up. Let's see. That again is issue 3157. Okay. Next up is adding support for relationships to layout context, issue 2134. Doc Wilmot is the advocate for this one. He updated the pull request a couple weeks ago, and that new updated pull request needs review. And lastly, merging together the various update pages, update core modules, themes, and layouts into a single update page, issue 2714. Greg, could you give us an update?
Yeah, so I've been saying for weeks now that I'll get back to it. I finally started reviewing it, and I have a long weekend because of public holidays ahead. I did look at the comments finally that Inigo Zella has left in the pull request, which they suggest how to move forward with the issue that I was having. So hopefully within this weekend, I'll get all that sorted and it will be ready for review again. Yeah, so looking good. Perhaps I can get another advocate for another issue. There's another month or so. So cool.
Super. I like that optimism. All right. That's it for the 119 updates. As always, if you would like to have an issue in 119, the process is pretty simple. You find a feature and you edit the summary and put advocate : your name there. And then that allows you to put it into the 119 milestone. And then we talk about it during these weekly meetings. Let's see. Next up is initiatives. Initiatives are large scale projects that aren't necessarily tied to a particular release number. We have 2 active initiatives right now, documentation and telemetry. Peter is heading up the documentation initiative, and I saw that there were a number of updates that Peter posted into Zulip. Although Peter, now that you're here, if you could just give us a verbal update, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yep. So yeah, I've been working on this the last week. So basically the migration that Jen had done from b.org to the new docs site was set up. There was a few issues with it, which I fixed up to make it so that HTML was being copied over correctly. So now the headings and images are showing up properly on nodes, which is all working. One thing I'm not sure how to fix is the inline images on the docs site, so the migrated content. They're showing up and they're referencing the image on the files on the docs site, so that's all fine. but I think because they're not managed files, it means that when you click on like if you're editing a node and you click on an image and use the CK Editor's image button, it doesn't show up as being editable. It's asking you to upload a new image. So I'm not sure how to fix that. So if anyone's got advice, let me know. Otherwise, images are working. It's just if you try and edit one that you need to like jump through hoops to do that. Other than that, the menu structure has been reorganized as per my proposal. So that's all been done. And the thing I'm currently working on is the book navigation. So we used to use the book module to have the little navigation, like page links at the bottom of each node. We can click to go to the next page or the previous page. But I realized that that was basically duplicating the hierarchy that was also in the menu, like the right-hand main menu. So anytime you added a new node or edited a node, you had to tell it where in the book hierarchy that node was, and then separately where in the menu hierarchy that node was. And they're basically the same thing. So I'm currently working on porting a D7 module that gives a pager to nodes based on where they are in the menu. So that way we just have to define the menu hierarchy, and then that'll have the pager options based on the menu rather than a separate book setup. So once that's working, I can remove the book module entirely from the doc site, and I've tested that on my local and it doesn't have any adverse effects, and we can just use this new menu pager module for the pager navigation. So that's what I'm currently working on.
Yeah, I think that the book module in general, like early on in Drupal, was intending for, as you said, to do the menu structure with the pager. But then the other thing is that you couldn't give people permission, or you didn't want to give people permission to edit the menus, but we don't have that problem with our documentation side, because the people that are granted access to edit and create documentation, they also have access to reorganize the menu. So yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Peter, for the update. Let's see. And the other initiative we have ongoing is telemetry, which St. Paul Tim is the advocate for. He left a note here, nothing new to report. It's on my agenda as soon as I am able to make time. Thanks, Tim. And that's it. That brings us to the end of the agenda. We have some time here. If there's anything you guys would like to bring up or discuss unofficially. If not,
there was an issue. Since we do have time, there was a small issue that I did. There's a feature request, and I haven't touched for a year or more now, which is automatically generating thumbnails for flexible layout templates when they are being generated.
oh yeah.
And there was a sub issue there to. So let me locate the issue so that I'm not talking like that. I can also point to. That was related. There was a respective issue in d.org, which is with regards to busting the cache for images. And we were contemplating on that issue, whether we'd need to do that for managed and non-managed images or not. And this is where it pretty much got stuck. So I would like to revive that, because the images that are being generated by the code that I created for that, those thumbnails fall into that category. So there was an issue with when you edit. So basically, this issue came up when you were editing an existing flexible template and tweaking the regions. Upon save, the thumbnail was cast, so it wasn't updated. There's a workaround, which sort of like suggested by Jen. I think that it's okay to add like a randomized number at the end of the image, the actual file name, which is a workaround. But I would like, since this is a broader issue and it's also like an on the radar for Drupal, I think that we should sort it out or make a decision at least. But yeah, I'll try to find the issue numbers.
This has probably been mentioned in that issue too. You could add a hash to the file name, or you can also add a query string after the file name, just like, question mark timestamp. And that's something else that I've seen used from time to time.
Yep.
Yep.
I can't find the issues now. I found the meta, but I can't, like, I'm skimming through it now. Generate icons. So I found it. So the issue that I was referring to with automatically generating icons, which I'm hoping to get back to because it's here listed as a task. A task actually is 4104. That's the one about generating the images, and then the other issue that I was referring, which is sort of like related to that, and it's a feature request, is 4107. So yeah, I'll get back to those as well, and I would like some feedback from others.
Pretty cool. This issue 4104.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I think, yeah, I wouldn't mind wrapping up a little early today. I think we can say thank you for everybody. It's been a little bit of a hectic week for myself and others. So hope everybody takes care of yourself out there. Really appreciate the work you do for Backdrop. But take care of yourself first. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to end the broadcast and end the meeting. See you guys next week and on the internet.